Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing another animal painting. I have an image of a swan here that I just thought was really gorgeous and I really wanted to paint it as soon as I saw it, so that's the plan. It's just really glowing with a lot of light and pretty water, so I think it'll be a good challenge but also not too complicated either, so yeah, I'm gonna challenge myself a little bit today. I'm gonna try and do this one all in one setting without waiting for anything to dry. So I'm gonna be a little bit more careful in some ways, but also try to work quickly. I'm also gonna work on a canvas today, which I've been on a board kick lately, but yeah, I feel like this might benefit from a little extra softness. So it'll be just all paint, no wax, and yeah, on canvas. So try it out. Let's see. I'm gonna start out with a couple of light wash layers, and a little bit of sketching to kind of lay it out. I've got this big brush out too that I might try for some of it. Yeah, just to kind of lay down some different colors and get a structure going. And I'm actually gonna put some of my solvent into this little tray. It's not, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see, just a little dish, but I can put my brush in it and it will let me, I don't know, maybe get some of these bigger colors in better. So I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna sketch in some yellow actually. I normally start with yellow, but you know, all about doing new things right now. Use this round brush though. Yeah, I think I might use just some cadmium yellow and a bit of solvent, and try and get a layout here. So top of the head is about 1/3, and I'm gonna do this a little bit blocky to start, but since I'm putting the color down thin, it should be okay. And this wing comes up here. Let's see. This is actually coming in all the way, almost to the edge. This peak is here. Maybe I've got the head a little small. It's a nice thing when you're just working with light coats, as you can just move things around and they'll all cover later. Let's get this other wing in here before I get too distracted. I picked this yellow because it seems like a good kind of edge color on this, so if I don't come back to it for a while, try and get this wing kind of comes in behind here. its proportions are fairly good. Got a very pretty yellow, highlight of the water here. Just putting in some of these sort of major highlights on the water. Just that, probably up towards the top. And I'm gonna put some blue in, but I'll leave some space. So that seems about right. Obviously not a lot of detail yet, but that's okay. All right. So the main body of the swan is actually really similar because it's reflecting a lot of the blue of the water. I'm gonna come in and kind of start working that in there. I may switch brushes now that I've got that laid out. I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, which is work a little bit backwards. just for a few minutes. So we'll get a little bit of cad orange. Actually, I don't normally use cad orange, but it seems like it might be good right now. Just for a little bit more. Some of these areas go even thinner. And as I'm really washing this in, almost just to remind myself not to put blue in these areas. I think I'll put a lot of blue in soon. But I'm gonna kind of hold the space. There's probably a better transparent orange I could use, but I'm not sure what it is right now. That looks good. Let's make some blue. So for blue, it almost could be phthalo in this one, but I don't really want to make a phthalo mess. So I'm gonna go with a little ultramarine and probably dull it back a little bit, maybe actually with some of this orange. Orange and blue are complements. Makes it a little darker and a little duller to mix it that way. So we'll try that. And I'm gonna kind of scrub this in, starting in this darkest area here. It's strange, the swan's reflection is actually very dark. Because it's both a shadow and a reflection kind of at the same time. So the light's coming from behind. Try and do this quick. Get into the knife thingy. I really think it's worth it. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'll get a little more ultramarine, a little bit more thinner. Gonna mix those in. Even thinner. Smells nice at least. I'm kind of going into this light area here and just make this edge a little bit rough. I don't want it to be a hard line. I'll define it a lot more with a knife, but for now, just getting some colors in. Allergies are a little better now, so hopefully it stays that way. I would love that. So the water, as it gets closer, does just get darker. I've still got a lot of light areas too, so I'm leaving those nice and bright. Add just a little cad yellow. Let's see, I'm hoping this will sort of lighten it and maybe make it a little bit more green. I don't know, it might not be the play. It's a little too murky. Maybe add a little Cypress blue. Get some more of that out. And top of the cobalt as well. These are both good colors. I just didn't want to. I wanted to keep in the transparents for as long as I could. But ooh, I have an idea maybe. Okay, we'll see in a minute. Here's the Cypress blue. Maybe what I'll try doing, let's take this and see if I put down basically almost a clear layer. Maybe I can paint into it and do something cool. We'll see. I like this washy watercolor look. It's not something that needs to stay, but it might be kind of a good way to get started. And that's a way of, again, not adding light yet. It's kind of cool. I like that. I don't know, some of this might show through later, some of it might not. You know, it's kind of like... Okay. And I'm going to do a little bit of the same in here. Go a little bit more vibrant for that though. add a little bit more ultramarine in here. I don't want it full strength, but I do think it's just a little more vibrant. Maybe just put a little there. And then look into it and see what happens. It looks a little crazy right now, but I feel like it might come together. Okay. And see a little of that. Almost out of stuff there. Probably good. We're probably almost done this part. I don't know, if I pull it off, it'll be a pretty nice painting, I think. Put a little bit a little darker there. It looks a little crazy, but I still believe. Okay, so let's see. I think probably about time to get into some knife. Simplify that a little bit for now. Did get a little bit of paint kind of running around here, but I think that'll be okay. All right. I'm actually take this out. I think I might be done with this brush. I don't know. Things are fluid. They're changing. But I don't know. It's good to try different things, right? Oh, I've got paint in my hair too. I just saw it. I think it's on this side, so you might not be able to. I was excited today to paint. I couldn't decide. I had a few different pictures that I was thinking about using. I'll probably do them all sooner or later, but sometimes it's tough. One ready. And this one too. A lot of times I can just kind of wipe them out and they stay fine. Where do I want to start with this? I'm gonna try to keep going with the darkest colors. So this is pretty good right now. I've got these little sparkles. I think I'm gonna go into the background for a little bit actually. I'm gonna work on some of this water here. I kind of like that it's a little bit wet right now, and I think that might help. So I'm gonna mix up a couple of blues. Maybe even some white too. We'll see. Try a little of each. And I'm not gonna fill this in entirely. I'm just gonna kind of put in a little bit of each color as I see it. And get this effect of all these ripples. And then possibly fade a lot of it out. I'm not going into my highlight areas too much, but I'd rather have the water look kind of carefree than overly careful too. That's got a good feel. It's tempting to blend it a little, but it's also, I really like how it's soft right now too. I don't know, let's see. Maybe just tweak a little with the knife. Just a little further back. Now it's got, right now I'm liking the canvas texture being kind of a part of this. Let's see. I'll take a little more cat orange, more of this ultramarine. Kind of work in here a little bit more. Some of these areas I'm really just going in with the same color. I'm making them a little bit thicker, but it's a way to have the whole thing not really thick and not have really thick edges on it. Gives me a little bit more to work with later. Just bringing in all this contrast already starts to make it have a glowing look though, which is encouraging. Try and get some of this in here, but not too much either. A little bit messy, but I'm gonna try and get into this a little bit more. Add some white. It's a little early for me to add white, but it might be good at some spots. So I just have it ready. It's not necessarily going in yet. Okay, so I've got, I want to bring in more of this blue. Let's do ultramarine and more of this orange. Can be orange, just getting to have some fun today. Okay, I'm gonna lighten this just a little bit. Kind of make it a cool gray. Might even be two. That might be too light. Go do one more. A little bit more blue. And maybe some Zephyr's blue too. Could grab this too. I'm looking at this wing here. It's quite the change, I guess. And start being a little bit more careful with some things. I'm gonna keep this kind of flat. Good. I'll do. Should have made more of that color. That happens sometimes. Alright, so I've got. I need like a brown. Amazing, I never bring in cad red light. That's my old standby normally for this sort of thing. Maybe I can keep them both out. We'll see. You can decide. There we go. Why not? It's working pretty well. The cad red light that I have is it's a better paint. So let's see. So take a little bit more of this, a little more ultramarine, mix up another sort of darker tone. Pull in a little of that. Just lighten it a little darker. Try that for a second. Still still pretty dark in a way. On my palette it looks too light, but on here it looks fairly impressively dark. But that's what makes it, it's gonna make the rest of it glow. So that is just fine. I want to get this sort of delicate look. I'll get there, okay. A little bit more of that color up here too. And I need a slightly bluer one on this side. A little bit more orange. It's funny, it's not, it looks almost like it wouldn't be orange. Some really interesting things going on with color here. Just go a little lighter. It's pretty good. And I'm gonna have to get this beak color somehow. It's really backlit, so I don't want it to be too strong, but I do need to get it in here. I think that looks appropriately dull, maybe. Sneak in there with a brush in a minute too. But not yet. Okay. So here I've got a little yellow kind of leading into a gray. Trying to be careful with my colors as they switch around. Doing some little light knife movements just to kind of blend this a little bit. I don't want it to get too muddy, but I do want it to sort of feel a little bit more round. And I can also use it as an opportunity to put in a little bit of like feather texture. It's pretty nice. Take a little more of this, and it goes up here on the side of the neck too. Right before that sort of brightest highlight. I think the head shape is a little off. gonna just fix it. Let's blend that into the water. So I think it's one of those things that if you're afraid to make changes, you'd let it stay that way. And it wouldn't be quite as good. And, but because I wasn't, I was able to kind of get into the painting and start looking at it. I'm losing a little bit of the highlighting here, but I think it'll be okay. Get it out of there for now. Alright, so let's do if you really want to test your color mixing, this is a good picture to try doing. Okay. Come down in here. I've got some more lighter blue. I'm gonna take some phthalo, actually Severs blue, and some titanium white, and a little bit more. Yeah, actually cobalt. Cobalt would be good here. Just want to warm it up a little bit. Sometimes the phthalo, Severs blues are they're just a little too green, and it's not quite what I wanted. This is pretty decent though. Start moving it in here. Here we go, even warmer, so I'm going to go with a little ultramarine here. Okay. Here, technically even lighter. I was up there, so I'll add a little bit more. I'm actually gonna, maybe I'll scrape it out. Just go a little bit lighter. Same light here. Okay. I'm gonna get into these lights soon. Let's get this dark beak area in. We'll do alizarin and viridian for that. Just because it's a good standby. Some fresh viridian. I like that combination because it ultimately is a transparent black as opposed to, like, I could do the ultramarine and cadmium orange or something like that too, but it would be a little bit more opaque, and I don't know, I don't like using blacks that are very opaque, I guess. I don't know. I'm putting this on pretty thick, so it ultimately is, but I just think the way that it mixes in with other colors works better this way. That works for now. A little tip of the beak too. It's like a nostril. Yeah, stick with that. Now I think what I want to do is just refine some shapes a little bit. Kind of like make it a little curvier in places. Before I start really refining the highlights, I think this is a good time to fix up the drawing probably. So I'm kind of just putting in some brush strokes that kind of work with my feathers, specifically going along any areas that are in between color areas. Kind of works as a way to get the shapes into place. Make sure I've got the curves kind of where I want them. I'm gonna scrape a little bit of this area out, just so it's not quite as blue. I did have a little paint kind of creeping around. And the other thing I'm going to do is probably switch to a smaller knife as I do the rest. Just because I'm going to want a little bit more control. Again, it's just like painting snow, like it's a white bird, but it's really, there's not really a lot of white here. I need to switch brushes there. Just grabbed the wrong one. I picked it up, but that's fine. Okay. That's a little too short. Alright, so now I'll make some room on this palette. I'm gonna want really clean colors here, so just move some of this stuff over. I think it'll still be useful. Need a little room. A little bit of, kind of need like a dark brown in here before I lose it. I'm gonna just make that. So, let's get some white. I'm gonna usually put some white right in there, pretty thick, to sort of get some of these edges in that I want. This area in particular ended up getting a little bit too blue. Let's scrape it out. If you scrape out the paint you don't want, it's easier to put on new paint. You can cover it, but it's a lot harder. So especially when you want to cover with something like white. So I'm just gonna try to get this in here. I have to do maybe a few little layers here. That's kind of what I was sort of trying to avoid, but you know, sometimes it's just how things go. So added a little yellow in too. I felt the white was looking a little too cold. Beak is gonna be a little tricky to deal with. Orange. And then I'm seeing, so the edges of this, I'm going to bring them a little yellow. The edges are a little darker actually than this middle area where I'm getting more light through them, so I'll try and get that. A little bit more of a light blue there, actually. And here I've got a couple steps as well. Got a yellow, warm white and brown mix. I'm gonna bring that in over this feather area. Try and get the shapes. More orange down here. Actually, not letting quite as much light through. It'd be fun. I should paint some chickens too. I bet chickens would be fun to paint. Let's see. Some of that. Bunch of white. Let's get some really nice lit up feathers here. More yellow. Maybe even some cat yellow light. It's funny, I don't think of it as being all that much lighter, the cat yellow light. I think of it as being more toward a yellow green than a yellow orange, but it's okay. You can call it that. good. That works for getting that edge. Right. I've got a bright edge top of his head here. I mostly want to start making a little bit more out of this form. Good. Very yellow. It's probably too yellow, but just go with it for now. And seeing that I'm going to put some more white on top of it later. I think having a lot of really saturated colors where you have things kind of lighting up can do a lot. It's coming along. Getting there. Switch back to the soft brush again. Make this a little bit a little softer here and there. Simplify that a little bit though. I think it's going to be better to come back over than to try to do everything all at once, maybe. And that's worth a try. But it's just getting a little too messy. I'm really just looking at edges right now, figuring out where something needs to move a little bit or be a little softer. A little bit more of a highlight here. A little bit warmer edge in here. Maybe I'm cheating by using a brush too much, but sometimes these organic shapes, I don't know, that's what they do better. Okay. As that got a little smoother, it started making me think I needed a little smoother look to the water too. And sometimes that's kind of how it goes. Definitely got a fiery look to it now. Arguably a little overdone, but I'm gonna just keep going with it. I just want to get this feather look. Have like the flow that they do. And a little bit of orange actually. Started bringing that back into life, I think. little bit of bright light made that edge make a lot more sense. Okay, maybe a little bit of this on this side would be good too. I don't know. Some people can copy every little ripple. I don't have the patience for that. I tend to look for like the big patterns and then just follow them. Okay. I need some more white. And put it right here in the corner where it's a little safer. Now, try and get let's get some nice fresh cat yellow. Little yellow kind of at the edges of these light areas on the feathers. A little white, a little yellow. It's a very thin edge here. Where it's its brightest. Pretty good, okay. A little more on that edge. Kind of grabbing the high spots here. Pretty good. I think it's starting to work. Bring it a little more, sort of the same light blue tones up here. A little bit, a little greener. That's a little messy. Didn't mean to do that, but not a problem. Can fix it. Just bring in the feather texture straight through here too. Together. So I think kind of like a puzzle where you fill in a little bit and then you fill in a little bit more and then you start to see a little bit better kind of what's happening. All the little things that go into making it work. A little thicker, a little bit. Letting this knife texture kind of assert itself again. I feel like kind of going back between the knife and the brush gets you kind of the best of both worlds. Alright, I think I need almost like maybe if I did a CAD. Too warm. It's pretty warm. I kind of like it for right here too. Just kind of building it up as I go. I see a little opportunity. That's really good in here. This ultramarine is very sneaky. It always hides. The other thing I'm seeing, I think, now, which wasn't as obvious to me before, is that the surrounding water is quite a bit darker, actually. Just put a little bit of this in here. Kind of let it blend in. Same idea here too. orangey color. Try not to worry about going over things a few times. Sometimes it all just has to feel right together. More of that. I said I was going to be attempting to do this all in one shot, but I might decide that it's best to let it have one more sitting after a little bit of setup. Normally I wouldn't really taken it this far if I knew I was going to come back to it though. So maybe I'll persevere for the sake of the experiment. Proper all prima painting. Which I used to do. I used to do one session a lot more, and then I found doing a little bit more in between was giving me nice results, so I kind of got into that. Maybe I just need to not be afraid to add a bunch more white and get the rest of the waves worked in. I think the swan is in pretty good shape actually. Probably don't need to do too much more there. Though with the light it gets more defined. Sometimes I'll see things that can be better. Yeah, let's get some more white and start bringing in some of these little waves and things. I like to get a little bit warmer further up in the water. additional light is a good decision, though. Make these waves not all exactly the same, especially as they're going further away. Actually, not have the water be quite as choppy and contrasty either. Be a little smoother. A little softer. Really using a lot of white to do this, but it's okay. I suppose if I'd put a white layer down on the water to start, it might have actually not been a bad idea. I might have brought a lot of these values up right away, but I didn't want the edges to get muddy, at least any more than they were going to, so. That really does the backlighting a little bit better, though, just getting those values in right. Scratching that area into the canvas. Might even want to make this beak a little darker. There we go. Too bad. getting this to work is really about sort of floating the paint on top of the previous paint and not having it mix in too much. Especially with all this orange and blue, it'd be really easy to get it very muddy looking very fast. Kind of carving some of these feathers back in. Kind of like that. I like that because it's leaving, because this is round, it's leaving the light color in, but it's not removing all of it. Like it's letting the feathers kind of light up like they actually are. I like that. Okay. Now, a lot of this stuff you can't really, it'd be hard to explain it, but if you try it, it'll probably work. If you're stubborn enough and stick with it anyway. No, I'm just kind of going along these edges and softening them a little bit. Put in these little tiny lip feathers. This brings a little bit of extra separation from the neck and the body here. Simplify a little bit. Try going right over this with some candy yellow. It's actually not bad. I was worried it was going to go on too strong, but it's not that strong. Alright, I think it's really close. I'm just gonna get a little more, something warm there, kind of something in between here. Just trying to get the head to have a little bit more dimension to it. It's pretty close, and it is backlit, so it's not, it doesn't really have that much going on, but this palette is crazy messy. Pretty good. Let's see. Way too bright. Blend that a little bit. It's not that little. There's like I don't know, cheekbone, I guess. I want it to be simple. I don't want these edges to look really rough, but I do want them to light up, which maybe is not really at risk of not happening at this point. But it's pretty good. Just tidy up this beak a little bit, and that might be it. I'm not gonna get too brushy right now, though. Just a little. Just a little. The brush is nice because it's thin one direction, so you kind of like chisel in with it. And some different shapes. Alright. Well, that might be that for this one. Unless I change my mind and come back to it. Which I might. Nah. Alright, well. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll just let it be here. It's nice and impressionistic. It's got some glow to it, which is really pretty fun. Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.